This video was made possible by CuriosityStream. When you sign up for their bundle deal at curiositystream.com/HAI, you'll also get access to Nebula, the only place where you can hear the relaunch of my podcast, Showmakers. As the Big Apple, New York City is home to a lot of big things. Big buildings, big billboards, big balloons, a big mayor, a big dumpster fire, and a big green statue of Owen Wilson in a tiara. On the other hand, it's also home to a lot of small things. Small apartments, small bodegas, a small ex-mayor, small hands, and most importantly, a very small, very spiteful mosaic called the Hess Triangle, the smallest piece of private property in New York City. You see, back in 1913, people in New York were all like, "Gee willikers, I sure do love not being at war with Germany, something I bet will last forever. Now leave me alone, I need to smoke cocaine to cure my toothache." But also, they were all like, "You know how 7th Avenue stops at 11th Street? What if it, didn't?" And so the city decided that it, wouldn't, and began plans to extend 7th Avenue through Greenwich Village down to Varick Street. The project also included extending the subway line that runs below 7th Avenue, which is now called the 1, in recognition of its place as the third best subway after the 7 and the one with the world's second creepiest looking Jared. Now, New York City is, of course, organized in a grid system, which keeps its streets easily navigable and its street names deeply uncreative. But that grid doesn't really become gritty until you get north of 14th Street, as that's when the 1811 Commissioner's Plan, which laid out the grid, began. By that point, Lower Manhattan had already been developed, starting with the Dutch settlement of New Amsterdam in the 1620s, meaning the area below 14th Street is less of a grid and more of a handful of wet spaghetti that someone threw at a map. That's all to say that in 1913, when the city decided to extend 7th Avenue, Greenwich Village looked like this. This lot, Lot 55, was home to an apartment building owned by a man named David Hess. Records differ slightly on what his building was called. It was either the Voorhis, or the Voorhess, or the Voorhis, or the Dimmsdale Dimmadome, but whatever you call it, it was definitely doomed. That's because the 7th Avenue extension was going to run through here, which meant that all of these buildings couldn't exist anymore because 9 of 10 dentists agree that you can't have buildings on roads, and so the New York government used eminent domain to #yeet, as the kids say, 11 blocks worth of thick property, which included Hess's beloved Voorhis, which made him big mad, and that's on period. Hess did everything he could to save his apartment complex. He refused to sell, he filed lawsuits, he tied a bunch of multicolored balloons to the top of it, but in the end, he was no match for the city government. By 1916, when the 7th Avenue extension was completed, the new lots at 7th Avenue and Christopher Street looked like this. Lots 51 and 52 were mostly intact, Lot 53 was cut in about half, Lot 54 lost about 2/3, and Lot 55 was gone. Or was it? Half as interesting CSI, can we enhance this image? Enhance more. 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 Bingo! It turns out, due to an error by the city, about 3.5 square feet, or a third of a square meter, of Lot 55 was left intact and still in David Hess's ownership. When they realized their mistake, the city asked Hess to donate the plot to be used as part of the sidewalk, and they probably figured he'd say yes, because after all, what was he going to do with such a small slice of New York City land? Build a dive bar for pigeons? A slightly below average sized West Village apartment? A spiteful tile mosaic whose sole purpose is to give a massive middle finger to the city of New York? Yes, that's exactly what he did. The mosaic, which still stands today, reads as follows. Wait, that's wrong, it says property of the Hess Estate, which has never been dedicated for public purposes. Technically though, the plaque is wrong. The land is no longer property of the Hess Estate, who sold it in 1938 to the owners of the Village cigar store next door for $100, who later sold it to Yeshiva University, who eventually sold it to a Realty corporation located at 70 Christopher Street, which was named after the 70 Christopher Realty Corporation. Technically, the Hess Triangle was absorbed by Lot 54 sometime in the 1930s, but functionally, it remains independent, with not even a Realty corporation daring to remove this powerful, stirring testament to the spiteful pettiness that makes New York City so special. Speaking of spiteful pettiness, let's talk about the YouTube algorithm. It determines how well a video does, but it doesn't always line up with the type of videos I want to make and that I think my audience would most enjoy. That's why me and my other educational YouTuber friends came together to make Nebula, a video platform where we don't have to worry about demonetization or the algorithm or video length. All we have to worry about is making great content. Plus, there are Nebula originals, like Showmakers, my podcast with Brian from Real Engineering, where we interview other creators such as Polymatter or Sweeney, which you can only get on Nebula. The best way to get access to Nebula is with the CuriosityStream bundle. CuriosityStream is a fantastic streaming service with thousands of top-quality documentaries from people like Jane Goodall, Chris Hadfield, and David Attenborough, and they've partnered with us at Nebula to offer a deal. When you sign up for CuriosityStream, you get a free annual subscription to Nebula, and right now it's only $15 for the whole year. You can get that bundle by going to curiositystream.com/HAI.